Hello everyone and welcome to round 4 here at Nurburgring for 2S Season 12 of our ACC Championship. Today I'm joined by Aidan Bailey in the commentary box, who has decided to substitute his racing seat for a comfortable office seat here in the commentary booth. So please welcome Aidan Bailey to the booth.
Well, I thought the track was a bit wet, so thought we'd
rather
give
stay
this
in the
a go
dry.
instead.
Yeah, that's good fun. So today we are on the long race format, so we do 15 minutes qualifying instead of the 7 minutes you saw last race. And then we also do a standard 45-minute race with a mandatory pit stop rather than the 2 sprint races you guys have seen. The championship, I believe, is still in Dom's favor, but the margins are very small between Dominic Illiken and Sam Chumley, so it is, I think, at the...
I actually believe Sam is first.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I can see you've been paying a lot more attention than I have. Alright, well then, Sam Chumley, but I still think Dominic Illiken is very close, so that is still...
He's very close, yes.
It's a great battle to watch, and as we say that, Sam Chumley completing his first lap in qualifying, but not setting a lap time. It doesn't look like any of the drivers have actually set a lap time. What's going on? Oh no, sorry, they completed the out lap, and now they're... Okay, that's why. Oh my god. Alright.
Yeah, so it's 11.5 points between them.
Okay, so that means, and I think you get, is it an 8 points difference from P1 to P2?
6 points.
6 points
I
difference.
believe. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so Sam is slowly running away with the lead slightly then, I guess, compared to last race. There are 2 races after this one left in the season, so it is a 6-round championship, a bit different from our usual 8-round. We decided to go for a shorter one to see if there'll be more retention with the drivers. Today we are in a very rainy Nurburgring. It's been hinted at all week, and even if you look at the weather forecast at the real Nurburgring today, it's also rainy. So I think we're going for quite a realistic approach today. Of course, we just had the 24 hours of Nurburgring over the weekend, the real one, with brilliant racing all the way throughout. Let me know if you guys were following along and which team you're supporting. I was sadly supporting the Mante Racing team, as you might have figured from last race by me commenting on Ruben van der Hooding's deliveries, this very car right here. I know Bricadelli Racing won with the Ferrari, so it'd be quite interesting to see if the Ferraris here today would be favored as well, if they're also as quick. But it seems like there's only Ferraris in the silver class. None of the pro class drivers have a Ferrari as of yet, so it'll be a bit more difficult to tell the pace on like pure pace in that sense.
It's quite underrepresented. The Ferrari. A lot of people pick Porsche this season.
Yeah, it's true, but I think it's just because the Porsche has always been it's been a favorite for a lot of people as a brand and as a car, but it's always been very difficult to drive. And I think the new one, I mean, you drive it yourself.
I do, and I couldn't drive the old one.
Yeah.
I think this one is easier to drive.
Yeah.
Still likes to bite you if you stamp the brakes, though.
Speaking of biting, we just saw Ruben. He's getting a little bit sideways on the corner exit there, so it's not the easiest car to drive still, but it's definitely easier or more, I guess, more intuitive to drive compared to the old one, which I think most people had a problem with how much time you had to spend to get used to it before you could actually be quick and competitive in it compared to this one. So I think that's why a lot of people chose the new one, but also the Ferrari, the 296 is also a beautiful race car. I very much enjoy watching it go around the track, so it doesn't surprise me that most people have chosen the Ferrari as well. But the Lamborghini is a bit of an odd one with the Luxley livery. I'm going to mention it every single time, but mention it yet again. But actually, right now, Jack Mills for some reason is in pro class and is right behind Antoine Olive in the qualifying. Oh, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but he's running the 1.5% fat livery there on the Lamborghini, which also was quite successful in the first hour of the Nurburgring 24 hours race until they had a massive puncture and that sent them flying down the order. But they were quite rapid there as well. So the new car is definitely something to behold, that's for sure. As Jack Mills goes all the way off track in the final chicane. Now, I was told to have a quick look at Ben Lowe's livery. Aiden, I don't know if you can talk us through it, because you are also part of the livery design.
So, obviously the livery was originally meant to be a MoneyGram livery, but Ben kind of decided, well, everyone was starting to do meme liveries this season, so he changed it to Mikey Grab instead, and because it's a bit wet today, we needed to protect Mikey, which is why they added safety rings and snorkel to make sure he's fully prepared. So if Ben goes P1 now, it's because his car has a snorkel on it.
Well, thank you very much for that description. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I saw a teaser of it earlier, but it looks great with the snorkel as well. That's a brilliant design.
It was a last-minute addition, apparently.
I quite like it. It's a good addition. He is going sailing or swimming in Nurburgring here today. I think it's definitely a full wet qualifying, but the race I think has potential to be half wet, half dry, or fully dry as well. But it's definitely raining now, so it's a very fitting livery for this week, that's for sure.
Well, wet quali tends to spice the grid up a bit, which normally makes for quite a good race. And obviously, half wet, half dry race is always good.
Yeah, that's true. And right now you say it tends to spice up quali. We have a perfect balance between the pro drivers and the silver drivers at the moment. So Ryan Oppen, the first of the silver drivers in P11, and then only silver drivers beneath him. And then Feuerherz last of the pro drivers, but the only pro drivers ahead of him. So quite a nice balance this time around. Yeah, I know it says Jack is a pro driver, but Jack Mills is a silver driver. I think something has gone wrong with his entrance. Maybe he's chosen the wrong number or something along those lines. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but he is definitely a silver class driver. So just keep that in mind.
He's actually going quite well, actually.
Yeah,
he's
currently
quite close to nothing.
P2, yeah, it's 2.5 seconds off the original pole position set by Ruben van den Houding. I'm not quite sure what cars this track favors, to be honest. It's been such a long time.
With the update.
With the update, I have no idea, and it used to be, I think, a McLaren favorite track. Sam saying he was having a good time in the McLaren as well, running with 1 TC in the wet, mind you. He found out a little trick that at the McLaren, if you just turn off traction control, it's actually quick compared to the other GT3 cars, and if you can feather the throttle properly, you still are a bit quicker with 1 or 2 traction control enabled for the McLaren. So it's quite a different driving style compared to what he's used to in this car after the update, but I think he's very much enjoying it as he is leading the championship and on the way to be a first 3-time winner here in 2S. But Dominic Illichner is also not that far behind, who's still trying to, well, he's the first 2 times champion in a row. He might also be the first 3 times champion in a row. We still have 2 races to find out after this one. So that's going to be very interesting.
No matter what, we get a 3-time champion this season.
That is true, unless both of them manage to bottle all these races. And
unless that happens, yeah.
And who's actually behind them in the standings? I'm not quite sure.
I don't know. Let me have a look quickly.
Alright.
It would be Tommy, but he is 30 points behind Dom at the moment and 41 points behind Sam.
So quite a tall ask for Tommy Azulin to get the championship if he is to do it. But definitely Sam Chumley and Dominic Illich will have to battle quite hard in both races in order for that to happen. Tommy Azulin will have to score quite high points, but he's been always very consistent. He's not been a podium contender this... Well, actually no, he had a podium first race, didn't he?
Yes, the first race.
So in the first race he had a podium, which was very good, but it is a bit more difficult with the Bentley. It's not a normal car to choose for this update. It's I think a bit more of an it's slower in most tracks compared to the other newer cars. I mean, it's still in the right hands. It's still really rapid, as are all the cars, even like the Lexus as well. Also a bit of an odd choice, but it's still it just gives the driver that much more effort to get good results. But Tommy Azulin, we saw from last season, he was Mr. Consistent, and I guess he's Mr. Consistent yet again this season. And that could...
I was quite surprised to see him change, actually.
Yeah.
Was it the BMW last season? I think
He was in the Aston Martin, and
that's it. The Aston Martin.
I
He
was
was
talking
going
to him.
very well.
Yeah, I talked to him after as well. After the season, he said he might stick with the Aston, but I think the Bentley is it's similar enough to the Aston. Well, it's a difficult car to describe. I used to drive it a lot for my endurance races, but that's just because it was brilliant on fuel and tire management.
Yeah,
But
it's quite hard to mess up with it, isn't it? It eats
Yeah.
curbs and
yeah, it's definitely well, I'd say it wasn't brilliant anywhere, but it was good everywhere. If that makes sense.
yeah, definitely.
But we still have 3 minutes left of quali. I'm just trying to keep up with who is setting what lap times at what point. Nico Veldman currently leading with provisional pole positions. Ben Lowe's on a flying lap as well. Ruben van der Hudding also on a flying lap. Although van der Hudding is currently equaling his fastest lap, and so is Ben Lowe. So no one's really improving actually anywhere in the field. Maybe the rain is getting heavier and heavier, so it's harder to drive through. But it is going to get lighter eventually. But we still have to go through that heavier rainfall to begin with. So the track could actually be slowing down. But I'm saying that Martin Feuerherd, he is currently 10 tenths up on his current fast lap. Now he's 2 tenths up. So he could potentially also jump maybe Antoine Olive if he continues with that momentum. But he still has quite a long ladder to climb to get up to Antoine Olive's fastest times. So Ben Lowe's comes across the line, doesn't improve, but he stays in P3 at the moment. Sam Chumley also I saw coming across the line, didn't improve either, but he's got 2 more laps after this one, just about. I think with the wet lap time it's 2 minutes and 1 second, at least with this amount of rain. Sometimes it can be worse, sometimes a little bit less. So about, I'd say the conditions are about nearly 8-9 seconds slower with this rain at the moment compared to if it was dry. But these drivers are doing very well to navigate this. Sam will have 2 more runs left. Anyone behind him, maybe even Antoine Olive, if he finishes the lap time he's on right now, like I would say he could probably cross the line with 1 or 2 seconds to spare to get one more run in. But anyone behind him is they're on their final lap now.
I think something to note: Nico and Bodetta. So the leaders of both classes, both of them are in the pits now, which means they're not going to get another lap.
Yeah.
I don't know if the conditions are getting worse or...
They might have felt like they couldn't improve, or the conditions are getting worse, exactly. But I will say Jack Mills currently is 5 tenths up on his fastest lap, so that could potentially put him into provisional pole position here in Silver Class. Let's see what happens when he comes across the line. He's got quite a lot of time on his delta. Yes, he jumps Baudetto, who's in the pit lane. So Jack Mills is currently provisional pole position in Silver Class. So that is a nice turn of events from him.
Very 100s.
Very close though. He's definitely chuffed with that one. You can see the celebration at the end of the turn along straight there. But that puts him into pole position for Silver Class. He's had a few of those, but not of recent memory that I can remember. Let's hope he doesn't bottle it during the race, because he's built up a reputation of bottling. But we love him for it, and we all hope the best every time he races. Whenever he, if he can finish a race or not.
Dominic, still searching for that win, isn't he?
Yeah.
He'll get it.
It's tricky, for sure. Dominic Illigner coming across the line soon with improvement on his lap time, but is he going to be able to jump any of the drivers? No, he's not. He does improve, but he's still 1/10 behind Diokovsky. I know that Audi is a bit of a handful in the rain, and I think he's finding out the hard way today how it is in the rain. Jack Colley still has to complete this lap, and he's only in the first sector, so he's got quite a while to go. He's currently already 2 tenths up on his fastest lap. If he can keep this momentum going, he might be able to jump all the way up to P5, maybe even P4. So that could be quite an improvement from him. We saw him perform very well last time around and a few races. He's been quite rapid all season, to be honest, just a little bit unlucky in the races.
Yeah, I mean, the races that he's raced, he's done really solid. He's got second and then third and third in the sprint races last time out. Just, he missed round 1, which has kind of set his championship bit of a... He's stuck, really.
Yeah, got quite a big ladder to climb to potentially get the championship, but it does bode well for next season if he manages to compete in every race, or most of the races at least. But I will
Definitely.
say though, he is 5 tenths down on his quality lap now, so I do think the weather is playing a huge factor. We have only one person in a green delta, everyone else is in a red delta, and that is Ryan Noppen, who's also racing with the Mante Racing Grello livery for the 24 hours of Nurburgring. I think that's nice of him and Brendan Hooding. They used to be old teammates together, and I think today they're both showing their support for the Mante livery. Ryan Noppen will cross the line. Is he going to jump anyone? No, he doesn't, but he does improve on his lap time. So that is the finish of quali, with Nico Veldman taking pole position, Ruben van der Hooding in P2, followed by Ben Lowe, Sam Chumley, Alexander Diakowski, Dominic Illigner, Jack Colley, Tommy Asen, Anton Leve, Martin Feuerhead, and that is rounding out the pros. Then for silver we have Jack Mills, Baudetto, Noppen, Buisson, Moulton, Kudasov, Alberti, Renault, and Marvin Betch. So now we're going to do a little bit of a track walk, and the track is damp, but crucially, no rain in the next half an hour.
That's massive.
So the drivers now, they will probably start on slick tires, but it's going to be a very tricky first few laps, as the track needs to get rubbered in and also remove some of the standing water, because it is damp, which means there's still a bit of water on the track. It's actually now greasy already, so even then the water is slowly but surely evaporating in the minimal sunlight we have through the clouds, but it is getting drier and drier. It could even be green by the time these cars have finished their formation lap, but it's going to be a difficult first few laps, that's for sure, for all these drivers if they decide to stick it on the slick tires. There could also be some drivers who's on the wet tires, we don't know. But I think most of these drivers will be on the slick tire. But yeah, Nico Veldman, first pole position in a very long time for Nico Veldman. I'm sure he would love to be back on the top spot. He was our season, I believe, 10 champion. Season 9 champion. Also in the Audi, and now he's gone back to his Get Speed Mercedes. He was running the yellow Get Speed Race Taxi livery before, but now he's on to the white one, which he created himself, as this is a new livery they released this year. And he obviously, he's a big fan of the team. Ruben van der Hooding as well, closer to the top as we've seen him recently. He's been very up and down, but it's nice to see him back towards the top of the grid. Ben Lowe's, it looks like the Aquaman Mike Wazowski mix combo, whatever, has helped him in the wet, but will it help him in the race? Did you think about a dry race livery as well, Aiden?
I know his movement's going to be restricted now. What's he going to do?
Yeah, I don't see.
We get like sun hat for Valencia.
Oh, that'll be quite fun actually if you get a sun hat for like a beach livery, or sort of a desert livery.
That's
maybe.
the word.
That'll be quite fun. I look forward to seeing that in the creative.
Cover his car in pasta.
Sorry?
Cover his car in pasta for Italy.
Italian Mike. Or maybe that's something you have to do for next season. You dress up the Mike as every race. That'll be quite fun. Just showing a little bit of the liveries here, and I'm gonna finish off with the Luxley livery of the Mullers, full fresh Mullers, Meilang fresh, 3.5% fat. I love that Antoine has done this livery. It's a brilliant idea, and I think it's right behind him we have Jack Mills. We actually have both of them together on track, and you can see the difference. It's like basically two milk cartons next to each other. It's quite funny.
Which one's better, the low fat or the
1.5% fat that's the best one in my opinion. But the cars are ready to take on to the formation lap now. Track's still greasy, but we'll see it probably turn green, maybe even potentially fast by the end of this formation lap, but it could take a few laps before it turns optimum, that's for sure. Tire temperature might be a bit difficult to get the heat into the tires. The pressures might be a little bit wrong, although I think that there's a bigger window now between the tire pressures compared to earlier. Am I right in saying that?
What was that, sorry?
With the tire pressures, I believe the optimal window is greater now than it was before.
Yeah, so before you wanted to get it as close to the set number, but now it's anywhere between 26 psi and 27.
Okay. That's great. Do you still run 27.5? Or do you try to go for lower pressure or higher pressure? Which do you prefer?
I think the optimal, I think there's technically an optimal and it's around 26.7.
Alright.
So it's close to the higher end of the boundary, but it's a little bit less punishing now than it used to be.
Alright. I've also heard quite a lot of drivers complain about tire wear and getting used to the new tire wear mechanics. Is it something that have you managed to understand it yet, or what's the difference now compared to what it was before the update?
So in the experience that I had, especially, it was that first race that we did. I early stopped and the tyres fall off after about 25 minutes and you start losing a lot of time. So it kind of changes the strategy up a bit. It makes stopping really early or really late a bit more difficult. I think it was Silverstone, but I was losing, by the end of my stint, I was losing about 3 seconds a lap on what I would be doing on fresh tyres.
That is quite a big difference, actually. Wow. I didn't realize it was that big a difference, but we are today another long race where, if what you're saying is right, if the tire wear is still a big issue, if these drivers may have figured it out by now, we could see some potential late stoppers for track position, or as most people would usually do, they stop halfway through the race and change tires for the remainder half. This season, I do believe that refueling is banned, so the drivers will be running full fuel, so they last all the way throughout the race. As we used to see in previous seasons, where they would run maybe 60% fuel to start with, and then top off the last 40% when they go into the pit stops, or run full fuel and hopefully change the tires at the end of the race. There was a lot more strategies with the fuel load being allowed, but this season it is banned, which I think is it's interesting for a strategy mix every now and then to have different pit stop strategies and all that from rules from the series. But anyways, I'm sure the drivers have one thing to focus on now, and that is not pit stops or fuel or tires. That is getting down to T1 without having a collision. And we are about to go green as the cars are lining up to get ready to go down. And there's already a drive-through for one of the drivers, the 427 of Alberti, as I think he might have jumped the start a little bit. But Nico Veltman having a great start compared to Ruben van der Hooding on the inside there. Brakes later as well, so he has quite a big lead going into turn 1. So far no collisions. Ruben getting a brilliant exit though, trying to fight alongside Nico Veltman. Will have the outside for the next corner, and if he can keep this momentum going, he will probably have a position into the next sector, but he does have to back out of it as Nico Veltman has the inside corner. So nice little attack there from Ruben, but nothing able to come out of it. So far not much has changed in the top 5 at the moment. Dominic Illigner did get one position at Alexander Diokowski, but Ruben van der Hooding is still applying a lot of pressure to Nico Veltman here in the start. Looks like he's managed to heat up his tires just a little bit more than Nico has, although he is sliding around a little bit. There has been I think number 47, maybe started from the pit lane, I'm not quite sure. He's quite far behind the rest of the grid, but I can't see...
I believe so, yeah.
I can't see any incidents yet, although there is a yellow flag now, and that is Ben Lowe's going up the inside of Ruben van der Hooding in the Porsche, and he's getting a worse exit compared to Ruben. So Ruben will have the inside for the Schumacher S's. So who's going to come out ahead? It looks like at the moment that Ruben manages to keep his position for P2, but Nico Veltman, with this fighting happening behind him, he's able to build himself a little bit of a comfortable gap to start with, and Ben Lowe's almost making the most of an opportunity there behind Ruben van der Hooding.
It's a surprisingly calm start for what I was expecting. Especially with it being a little bit greasy and everyone starting on, I'm assuming, dry tyres.
Yeah.
I think the only thing to note is Jack Mills got a bit of a rear end.
Yeah, Jack Mills, he is down to P18 now, so the pole position driver has lost most of his positions already in the first lap. That's not ideal, but if he got rear-ended, I'll try and find a replay of that later. Do you know who the incident was with?
I do not know.
Alright. That's completely fine. But anyways, it looks like that's the first incident. We also have Andrew Moulton at the that's the pit lane. Andrew Moulton just putting a charge on Biasson. if going into turn 1 he might be able to capitalize on the poor exit from Buisson, and he does quite easily get ahead under braking. Something that's very interesting, there is going to be rain in half an hour. So, will the drivers pit or put dry tires and just hope the last 10 minutes of the race will be slightly greasy? Or will they wait all the way until the end and go for wet tires? I think it's probably going to be wait until the end and go for the wet tires. But
do you? Yeah, I think the top drivers will have to brave it out if they want to. I think whoever braves it out will win, as long as they don't spin off in the process.
And braving out at the moment, Ruben van der Hudding up the inside of Nico Wellman, but not quite able to get the exit into the Schumacher S's. And has to slot in behind, but he now is running very closely to Nico. He could have another opportunity going into the next corner, but Nico has it covered, sort of placing his car in the middle of the track. Not really anything Ruben can do, so he has to stay behind Nico Wellman for now. But these two drivers are having a brilliant little scrap at the start. It looks like at the moment Van der Hudding is just slightly quicker compared to the Mercedes driver of Nico Wellman, but it's fine margins and it's very difficult to overtake on this GP's track at the Nurburgring. So I'm sure that Ruben is trying to find all sorts of ways to make Nico, maybe push him into a mistake of some sort, rather than force an overtake.
Honestly, Ben Luce is staying very, very close to the back, so if there's a little bit of a tangle with these two up front, Ben and Sam, both of them are going to be right there to take advantage.
Yeah, at the moment you see Nico Wellman going on the inside to defend his position to Ruben van der Hudding, but we saw Ruben get a great over and under, but now Ben Loos is going for an attack up the inside of van der Hudding. He's not quite close enough to make it happen, but he's definitely close enough to pressure Ruben into maybe a mistake or something. I would not want to be in Ruben's shoes right now in this battle, because that is pressure from behind and also pressure to attack the guy in front. But these top 6 drivers are holding a very close line together at the moment. All their pace is very equal, which is so far proving to be a good entertainment for all of us, as it's sort of a slingshot. Oh, a little rubber band effect as Ruben van der Hudding gets punted in the rear by Ben Loos, and Sam Chumley nibbles the rear of Ben Loos as well. A little bit of an incident there, but they all managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction and all survive for yet another day. Sam Chumley trying to go around the outside of Ben Loos now into the hairpin, but that is only allowing Dominic Illigner to have a little cheeky look up the inside, but nothing comes out of it, as the corner exit here is very important, and there's only really one line that gives a brilliant exit. That was the one Ben Loos took.
This has given Nico a little bit of breathing room, not a lot, but it's better than a car being right on your tail the entire time.
That is for sure. I mean, Nico, we know he doesn't race in his mirrors, he races with only the eyes up front, so he doesn't succumb to pressure very easily. But it is sometimes, you do look in your mirror and you just notice a huge green Porsche behind you. It is a little bit intimidating, and it can put you off your game a little bit sometimes. But at the moment, everyone navigating the chicane nicely. It seems every time Ruben gets close to Nico, Ben Loos gets close to Ruben as well, and then they sort of tangle a little bit, and then Nico gets a little bit of breathing room for half a lap, until they all come back together again. Having a look at cars going into turn 1, and I think there was a potential move there from Dominic Illigner on Sam Chumley, but that's all equaled out yet again.
It's forming into a kind of free and free fight here, isn't it? Those top 3 seem to be running away a little bit, but as soon as they start fighting again, now that Ben's on the back of them, Sam's going to catch up again. And Dom and Jack are both right behind him. I think this could be... It's shaping up to be a very close race between all 6 of them.
That's very true. You also have the pit stops to think about who is able to nail the pit stop, as you can lose about 5 seconds in the pit stop itself if you just get the car in at the wrong angle, or if you brake too early for the line, or if you brake too late for the line, you get a penalty. So it's also down to if these drivers stay like this when they go into the pits, it might change under the pits, which is also very interesting to keep an eye out for. But you're right, there is 2 mini trains, I guess you can call them, forming, with Sam Chumley just slowly but surely falling off the back of Ben Loos there in front of him. something I have noticed, so Jack Mills, can I just say, after being nearly last at the start of the race, he's already made up 3 positions, and he looks like he's just about to make another position on Baudetto here into the left-hand corner. Does seem to... Sorry, not Baudetto, Moulton. He does seem to push Moulton a little bit off his line involuntary, maybe a little bit of those classic iRacing mind puns. But Jack Mills, slow but surely, making his way back up in silver class. That's great to see. The battle is also heating up for turn 1. Aiden, take it away.
Oh, right. I was watching, sorry, I was just having a little scan through the field, and Jack is really making up time from where he used to be. But that is Nico. Ruben got past him there. He went very deep into turn 1, but couldn't quite hold it through. Nico back ahead again, but Ben seems to be dropping off a little bit. Can't quite keep up with the pace of the leaders. But I think Nico's going to have a real challenge on his hands there to try and keep Porsche behind him.
Yeah, he's so far he's doing brilliantly keeping the Porsche behind him. But it definitely, Ruben van Houding last of the late breakers, but maybe a bit too late, I'd say, for that. And Ben Lowe's had a little looked like he might get a better exit, but then he just fell a little bit behind. Right onto the rear wing of Nico Veltman, and it's quite a spectacular view behind him of the top 6 cars. Maybe even Dajkovski looks like he might be getting into this battle a little bit. He's only 1 second behind.
Back a little bit. I think this race is going to be all the pro drivers seem very equal.
There's a Ferrari off the track, but that is a back marker. I think it is Alberti who has yet another drive-through. I wonder what that is for. Maybe speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah.
While he served his first drive-through. That is a bit unfortunate. But Sam Chumley, you see under pressure from Dominic Illigner there in the background. Dominic Illigner, is he able to make a move up in Sam Chumley? Yes, he does. He gets through a little bit of a contact between the 2 drivers. Sam might have a better exit, but he goes onto the gravel a little bit, which is going to slow him down. So Dominic Illigner makes his way past his championship rival up into P4. And he's having a great start of this race. He's got 2 positions already from where he started in qualifying.
Illigner's going to obviously look to try and gain on this more now, try and catch up to those front 3 a bit more, and maybe look for a move on Ben.
Maybe looks like Dominic Illigner is finally getting comfortable in his Audi, and he's setting a quick lap after quick lap at the moment. I'm just looking through the best laps, all the drivers, and currently Sam Chumley is holding the fastest lap, but that is Ruben van Houding going up the inside of Nico Veltman. They might even be going 3 wide, with Ben Lowe's looking to join this battle. Ruben sliding around the outside of Nico Veltman. Can he make it stick? Nico will have the inside for the next chicane, but his nose is not quite there yet. Last of late breakers isn't Nico Veltman. Yes, he does break late. There's room given to him by Ruben van Houding. A little bit of contact between the 2 cars. Ben Lowe's also make it through. Huge sliding from Ruben van Houding. Ben Lowe's looking to get through Nico Veltman as well. Massive battle between these 3 drivers, and brilliant overtake from Ruben, sliding around the outside and manages to finally muscle his way through Nico Veltman, and he is up into P1 position.
That was lovely, wasn't it? That send into turn 1 just found a bit of space there. It was all nice and clean through turn 1 as well. Nico left him the room, and he managed to, it took him a lot of corners, but he got it eventually. And obviously that let the door open for Ben as well, and all of the car, including Dominic Illigner, that's closed that gap now. So all of them are going to be wanting to capitalise on this, and Nico's going to want to be past Ruben as fast as possible.
Yeah, it looks like Ruben's already somehow driving away from Nico Veltman. I think Nico might be having more of a wet setup on his Mercedes, as there is rain coming in half an hour, but that rain cannot come soon for Nico Veltman, as Ruben van der Houding. Brilliant overtake on Nico Veltman. There was a little bit of contact, but that's okay in these GT3 cars. And now it looks like Nico's actually putting the charge back, but Ben Lowe's right behind him. And we know the Porsche is a little bit slower on the straights. It's not as bad as the older car, but it is just a little bit down on the straight line speed. And the Mercedes is one of the stronger cars in this race. But it seems to be a bit of a mistake from Nico Veltman. Ben Lowe's trying to hang it around the outside. And now it's going to be a brilliant battle down into turn 1. We'll go onto the rear splitter of... Okay, never mind. We'll go on to Nico Veltman. Have a look and see if Ben Lowe's is going to try and attack up the inside. No, he's not. But Nico is attacking up the inside of Van den Houding. He gets the move done somehow. That was very clean maneuver from Nico Veltman. Brilliant racing.
He's going to have the outside line there.
He will have the outside line, but is Ruben going to do what he did last lap? Nico seems to be a little bit closer this time around. Ruben will have the inside for the next corner, but Nico could try and set up his exit to make a move into the next corner, but no. So, brilliant attack by Nico Veltman, brilliant corner exit by Ruben van der Hooding, and they're back into the positions they were in the previous lap. Absolutely brilliant scrap. Amazing stuff happening between all these drivers.
It's just, this is some rare racing, isn't it? The Nurburgring never fails to disappoint.
Not really. It's not a track known for overtaking opportunity, but it's definitely a track known for great racecraft and great racing alike. And Ben Lowes goes a little bit deep. That might allow Dominic Illigner to get a little bit of a sniff of his rear exhaust fumes. And yes, he does have a good old sniff, but he's not able to make anything happen out of this move.
It's so close.
Oh, Nico Veltman, a little bit off track. That's going to allow Ben Lowes to make his way next to Nico. He's going to have the outside for the next corner. Nico trying to break late into the corner, gives all the space he needs, sliding through the corner. Ben Lowes on the outside of the track makes the move up into P2. He goes Nico down into P3 with a little bit of a mistake there on the corner exit of the Schumacher S's, and it just shows you how quickly your race can turn around with just one little mishap, one little miscalculation on the steering wheel. And now Dominic Illigner is right up behind Nico Veltman as well.
Nico's going to be kicking himself for that one. It's a shame. He won't give up this easily though. He'll be straight back on it.
Yeah, we know Nico. He's he drives almost. I'll say he's almost better coming from behind the field than he is at leading a race. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree.
Something just turns on. I think when he's leading the race, he doesn't have the same fire as when he's attacking. As you see right now, he's attacking Ben Lowes up the inside like he was doing Ruben van der Hooding last time around, but Ben Lowes is not able to capitalize, and is right beside him is Dominic Illigner, who's decided to place his Audi up the inside of the BMW as well. So that is disallowed Ben to try and go around the outside like Ruben did previous 2 laps. So Nico regains his position after making that mistake, and as you said, he's going to be kicking himself, but not for long because he's back into P2.
He always comes back fighting, doesn't he? Nico is not the car you want in your rearview mirror.
That's for sure not. He's a great driver at putting his car in the right positions. Oh, getting very close under braking is Dominic Illigner there to back up Ben Lowes. Ben Lowes actually gets a little bit sideways. This could potentially open up a move down into the hairpin, but I don't think Dominic Illigner is close enough. Just catching up in the chat, Productive Panda. Nice to hear from you again. He used to be a commentator here at 2S, and comes a very positive message. 2S, best league under the sun. Thank you very much, Panda. Nice to see you back.
That gap to Ruben is now getting bigger and bigger, and Nico's going to be looking to that and seeing what he can do about it. Will it be a pit stop, or will he just try and get it back on track?
Yeah, that is a good question. At the moment, Ruben still does not have his fastest lap, is still in Sam Chumley's hands with a 1:56.8. Ruben's last lap was a 57.0, whereas Nico was a 58.3, but he was fighting some of the drivers a little bit, so that could be why. But all this battling behind Ruben is allowing him to build up that gap that he needs to also make sure he comes out in front after the pit stops.
I've just noticed Jack Colley is going to be very close to Sam coming down this straight.
We'll go on board with Jack Colley then to see how he navigates this potential move. He's going for the outside, Sam defending on the inside. Who will be the last of the late breakers, I should say. And Jack Colley breaks very early, allows almost Dierkowski to catch up to the rear of him. But I think he's just taking the safe side. No need to push it too hard into turn 1, as it can cause quite a big collision. And it looks like Nico Veltman is under pressure from Ben Lowes as well. We'll jump back to this battle.
This is awesome, isn't it? The fact that we've got almost a 7-car fight for all of these positions. Ruben is increasing that gap more and more now, with Nico still under pressure from Ben. But everyone's gunning for it, and was that a move there?
I'm not sure if there was a move, but it looks like at the moment that the positions have just stayed as they are. I was just looking at Tommy Azulin, Martin Feyerhardt, and Antoine Olive. They're also having a 3-way battle, just slightly further behind the 7-way battle at the start. And these guys have been tussling around their order. I've been keeping an eye on it as well, and they have been having just as close a battle as the other drivers here up front. And Jack Colley right now also trying to get past Sam Chumley now. He has to navigate a few more corners. Maybe he can get a great run to go into the chicane and go up the inside there. Although it's a difficult chicane to overtake into due to the nature of it and being more of a fast chicane rather than a slow one. But someone else is making a move. Ben Lowe's going to the outside of Nico Veldman. Is he able to brake later? No, he's not. So Nico stays on the inside for now, but that could allow Ben Lowe's to get a great exit and potentially make a move into turn 1.
Well, he was going a bit deep there, but he's alright. He's going to try and get the best exit he can and have a look down into turn 1 again. It's going to be every lap now, I think.
Yeah, this battle is just never ending, and I'm here for it, that's to be honest. Ben Lowe's definitely has the inside now. Nico Veldman giving him the space there on the turn in. You can see, and Ben getting great exit there, side by side. A little bit of contact between the two drivers, but that's okay. Nico Veldman will have the inside, but Ben Lowe's has the outside advantage of carrying the speed around. Although looks like he's going to do exactly what Ruben van der Hooding did a couple laps earlier. It gives maybe a little bit too much space to Nico Veldman, so he has a potential comeback, and they have contact. Dominic Illichner almost capitalizing on this contact, but Ben Lowe's is managing to stay ahead now. Up to P2 goes Ben Lowe's. Down to P3 goes Nico Veldman. These two drivers trading positions again on this racetrack within the span of 5 minutes. Nico almost looking like he's going up the inside yet again of Ben Lowe's. These two drivers having a brilliant scrap.
It's very, very hard racing between the two, isn't it? But I think it's fair. I think they're just both of them pushing for it as much as possible to try and keep this P2. And Illichner is now very, very close to the back of them. He kept having a look. He's just waiting for one of them to make a mistake.
That's all it takes on this track. There's one little mistake we saw it happen with Nico earlier on the exit of the Schumacher S's, and Ben Lowe's. Oh, huge contact between Sam Chumley and Dominic Illichner, as it looks like Sam Chumley takes out his championship rival. We'll have to try and get a replay of that. Both of them losing a few positions there. Under braking, what happened between Sam Chumley and Dominic Illichner? It looks like Sam just outbraked himself straight into the rear of Dominic Illichner. Oh, that's a huge incident between the two drivers. That is going to be a slapping penalty from the stewards, and both of the drivers lose 2 positions there to Diakovsky and Jack Colley. And as we were talking about making mistakes, we didn't expect it to be Sam Chumley taking out Dominic Illichner, his championship rival.
That's a shame for them because they'll be carrying damage now, and I think it's going to be hard for them to catch back up to the others with being how fast that the others are. But that's really good for Diakovsky and Jack Colley. Both of them now. Jack is going to be looking for that podium position again for the 4th consecutive race.
Yeah, there's quite consistent from Jack Colley if he manages to get that podium position. He does although have a Nico Veldman to get past first, which is not an easy task to do. I'm also looking at this battle between Feuerhat, Tommy Aslin and Antoine Olive, and it seems like it's just a bit stagnant at the moment. They're getting closer, getting a little bit further away, sometimes attacking, but never really making a move on each other. It's quite difficult to attack the McLaren on this track. Sam Chumley now still behind Dominic Illichner. I wonder who has more damage out of the two. But I'm looking at the weather forecast. It says 10 minutes rain, so that probably means around 15 minutes of wet racing. These drivers most likely will hang it out until the rain comes and then change to wet tires. And then that throws a huge curveball into the mix, because who's quick as then? We saw Nico Veldman get pole position. We have Ben Lowe's with the Mike Wazowski going to the ocean. Who is it going to be?
Ben is strong in the wet, but Nico obviously he got pole. He's clearly got some speed in him. I think it's really going to spice this race up because obviously these tyres are going to start falling off very soon. They've been on them for almost 25 minutes now. And they are going to start getting rough, and they've got to hold it out now until that rain starts to fall.
That's for sure.
They can't pit again. They'll lose way too much time. So it's going to be a battle of endurance now.
Oh, it looks like Fire has made a little bit of a mistake. Antoine Liebe diving into the pit lane. That is a strange strategy from Antoine Liebe. So maybe he's breaking out of the slick tires. But Tommy Aslin, while that was happening, Firehead makes a mistake. Tommy Aslin up to P8 now, and he will try and start his charge onto Sam Chumley and Dominic Illichner, who both have damage. And you can see actually they're not that far ahead of him, only about 3 seconds on the track. So maybe he's able to catch those two and make up even 2 more positions. We did say it's going to take quite a big bottling from Sam Chumley and Dominic Illichner for Tommy Aslin to get some points back on them. Could this potentially be the race where it all turns?
That's really interesting from Oliver. I'm really confused on why he's pitted there.
Yeah, we'll have to...
He's going to have to stay on dries now the whole time.
yeah.
He will get a bit of time back with the fact that he's pitting off these used tyres now. He will gain some lap time again. But I think it might be the wrong decision, but I guess we'll wait and see. He might make some positions later in the race.
It is also just light rain. You can drive on slick tires in this very light rain. He might be thinking that the rain won't be heavy enough to swap over to wet tires, and then you might as well just get the dry tires over now while the optimum tires from the dry session of the race are still there, because the other guys will start having quite major tire wear soon.
It's a big gamble, though.
Yeah, huge gamble, but I respect him for trying it. He does come out in P15. He will have about 4 seconds. Sorry, not the timings. What am I saying? He came out in P17. He's got a huge gap ahead of him. So yeah, he'll be able to basically put in a few quali laps now. Once the rain hits, he can take it a bit easier. But those tires will be an interesting choice to follow throughout the race. It could be the gamble of the race. It could also be the flop of the race. It's definitely a huge risk he's taken.
His hope now will be to try and, because he was battling with Tommy and McLaren, the number 13 McLaren, wasn't he? Obviously now with the fresh tyres, he'll be trying to set faster laps than them, which he should be able to now. Try and make that gap as big as possible before the rain comes down.
Yeah. And then maybe just brave it out in the rain, but it could also be that the slick tires and the rain tires have the same pace at the beginning of the rain drizzle, which we have seen happen before. And in that case, then the slick tires are, to be honest, the more preferred tire in that sense.
Definitely. Tommy is one. Oh, was that Nico going off the track there?
It was, and it looks like Jack Colley making the most of it, and he gets his way past.
That was Nico's race is falling apart a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, so Nico getting very sideways on corner entrance under braking, and then you can see Jack Colley manages to muscle his way around the outside and make up the position. So Jack Colley into net P3.
That's what happens. Pressure, unfortunately. Cars constantly behind you. If you make one little mistake, it's going to happen. And unfortunately, Nico has made quite a few little mistakes this race so far.
He has, unfortunately, indeed, but I think he is running a wet setup, so we'll have to see once the rain comes, and he is probably hoping for it to come as quickly as possible, as it looks quite unstable, that Mercedes, compared to the other cars at the moment.
Definitely. But in P2 and P3, we now have a Mikey Graham VVDL double podium.
It seems like the Mikey bathing collection, I guess you can call it. It's boding well for a raining race. The track has also just turned into a fast track.
It's not going to last very long, is it?
Definitely not, no. So basically, as soon as it goes fast, it's going to go green again. But that will allow the drivers to have some sort of faster pace now. I'm trying to look at the best lap times, and Ruben van der Hooding at the moment with the best of a 1:56 flat. And no one else is really close to matching him, to be honest. The next fastest driver is Dominic Illigner, who is 4/10 slower on his fastest lap compared to Ruben. So Ruben is absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah, and obviously we know that Dom is going to be carrying a bit of damage after the contact. You can see his rear end there, it's all scratched up and everything. It was quite a hard hit with Sam, so he will be carrying some damage.
Yeah. I don't know if it's enough damage to make a huge impact on how the car handles, but it's definitely going to be hindering him slightly on his overall pace.
Some damage is always a bit less than ideal, isn't it?
That's
It's
for
going
sure.
to affect him in some way.
That's true. The gap between this 7-man battle has slightly increased now, so Ruben running away with 5 seconds ahead of Ben Lowe's, who's now 2.5 seconds against Jack Colley. And then behind Jack Colley, Nico Velman, Alexander Diakalski, Dominic Illigner and Sam Chonley, all within around a second of each other, so they're not close enough to make a move, but close enough to keep each other on their toes, I would say. The silver class race has also been quite stagnant as well, as we have Ryan Noppen leading, and then we have Artyom Kutuzov around 7 seconds behind Noppen and then 7 seconds behind Kudasov. We have Marvin Betch, who actually started in the pit lane, running quite a great race for him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's doing very well. He was very far back at the beginning, and he's managed to make up some good positions and all properly as well. He hasn't pit yet. All the cars around him haven't pit yet. So he's on for a good result there. P3 in class at the moment.
Yeah, it's not bad drive at him from him at all. He's still, I'm having a look at the lap times, he seems to be matching the pace of Ryan Noppen, but gaining on Artyom Kudasov. So potentially, maybe at the end of the race, he could have a P2 position. Jack Mills also in P4 at the moment. He's running, he seems to be struggling a little bit at the moment now. He does also have quite a bit of damage on the front, so I do understand why, and the rear. He's got damage on both sides of the car. That's not ideal.
The gap to Betch was smaller than it was. They were very close at one point, so something's happened with Mills, and he has fallen back again. But obviously, I think an important thing to remember with these gaps, obviously you were saying Betch is closing in. This could all change as soon as that rain starts.
That's very true. We did also see Jack Mills was on pole position in the wet, so he could potentially catch up by the time the rain hits. It will be coming anytime soon, as they hit the 10-minute mark around 10 minutes ago. So it'll be interesting to see how hard it hits, when it hits, and what happens to the drivers when it does hit.
I think it's going to really shape up this race, isn't it? Ruben's looking comfortable now in the lead.
He is.
Ben's just got to try and hold on to his P2 now.
Yeah.
But mistakes can always happen, especially as this track gets wetter.
That's true.
It's going to be a fun 15 minutes to watch, I think.
Yeah, no, we'll see. Antoine, he's definitely going to be sliding around a lot more than the other drivers who haven't pitted yet, but maybe they'll pit for slick tires as well. We don't know if the wet tire will be the optimal tire at all by the time the race finishes. It does say there's going to be more rain in half an hour, so that does indicate that we potentially might get heavier rain towards the end of the race. But until then,
definitely not stopping. For as long as that rain at 10 minutes has been on there, there's always been heavier rain at 30 minutes, so it's just how quick will that heavier rain come.
That's true. The weather forecast is a bit strange in the ACC, and we never really know exactly when it's going to hit, which also is quite nice for the strategy. It's a bit more like real life. You don't know exactly when the rain hits, and you don't know exactly how much. So it's always a bit more tricky. It throws a huge curveball, and just as we're talking about it, on goes the window wipers, down comes the rain. Lap time is going to be tumbling, and this is going to be very interesting now. Are they going to pit this lap? Are they going to brave it out a little bit more as Ruben Van der Hooding's already off the track a little bit? Let's see what happens now.
I think it'll be interesting. The track's obviously going to start degrading quite a lot. It's already back down to green again. It'll go to greasy soon. And it's going to be close. These drivers are really going to have to be on their game now.
Yeah, it does say more rain in 10 minutes, so it's definitely going to get heavier and heavier. I think Antoine's strategy might come back to bite him. He's probably a bit too eager on those slick tires if there's more rain. But at the moment, it seems like slick tires are still manageable in the rain. You can look at the steering inputs from Nico Veldman, though. Very smooth still. So it doesn't look like the track is that difficult to drive on. It is down to greasy, though. And I will say one thing, Jack Colley seems to have knocked a bit of confidence as Nico Veldman is right up behind him, but then Ben Lowe's as well. He's suddenly getting caught by Jack Colley.
I wonder with the track getting slightly slippier if Nico's more attuned to wet setup is going to start coming into his hands more and put him back in this fight with Ben and Jack. That
could very much happen at the moment, but no one diving into the pit lane just yet. Dominic Illigner also leaning on Alexander Diakowski. Oh, I'm saying that Sam Chumley is in the pit lane, so he is the first of the pit stoppers for the wet tires. We'll see if it's too early or if it's too late. That is a bit of a gamble. No one else really pitting just yet. Firehat has gone past, Tommy Eslin's gone past, Ryan Noppen's going past. So it seems like Sam Chumley is gone for an early pit stop, but that could probably be a beneficial.
I think it'll be. I wonder if that's a bit too early. I can't imagine that track's completely ready for wet tires yet. have a feeling dries will definitely still be faster. But, I mean, obviously Sam's on track, he knows better than we do.
That's for sure. At the moment, it doesn't look like the dry tire runners are having too much trouble. It's actually on Ben's rear camera. It looks like it's not even raining. It is raining though. You can see from the window wiper, you can see a little bit of spray on track, but it's still, the track is greasy, and if it's greasy, it's still slick tires optimum, I believe. Although I will say, the rain sometimes plays a bit of a visual effect, and it knocks the feeling. Some people drive slower when the rain hits because they're unsure of the limits of the car, and they think that the limits are much smaller than they actually are. And I think at the moment, Dominic Illigner putting on a big charge to try and get past Alexander Diakowski.
It's just waiting for people to come into the pits now, isn't it? It's going to be very interesting who pulls the trigger. Obviously, Sam is already in. It'll be fun to watch his lap times compared to everyone else's.
It will be, and I've also noticed 4 of the silver drivers have gone into pit lane as well. They're taking no chances as they all come out of the pit lane now. Will anyone box this lap? No, not yet. Ruben van der Hutting has gone through. Everyone else has gone through. It seems like the slick tires are still optimum at the moment, but we do have our first pit stop is Antoine Olive. We'll have to see where he comes out compared to the other guys in pit. He should ideally be ahead of Jack Wilson, but at the moment, according to my timer screen, it doesn't look like it.
He's just jumped up there.
Oh, okay, never mind. Just as I say that. So he's 8 seconds behind Sam Chumley.
That's not too far.
It's not too far, but we might see that tumble towards the end of the race.
Yeah, he's going to start to struggle now, Antoine. But he might be alright. Obviously, the top guys still haven't pit, which means the dries are probably still the fastest for the most part. But the track has just gone to damp, so it's definitely getting wetter out there.
That's true. And we can see Nico Wellman getting closer and closer to Jack Colley, who's also getting closer to Ben Lowe. So he is suddenly seeing his podium hopes come back to life. And we do have the next of the pit stops. So that's all the silver drivers who've gone into the pit stops now. And Martin Feuerhardt of the pro drivers. Interesting that all the silver drivers, they pit earlier than the pro drivers. I think the pro drivers maybe just a bit more confidence in their wet driving ability compared to the silver drivers.
Definitely. That's one of the things that me jumping up to pro driving, like being a pro class driver this season, I think definitely there's a lot of confidence behind it. The pace boundary isn't always massive, but the confidence, especially in conditions like this, to know what to do and when to do it, and to be able to hold it out a little bit longer if it is a bit faster, that's the big separation that separates especially these top 7 drivers to the rest of the field.
That's for sure, and we're seeing it happening already in this effect. No one's making huge mistakes. There are a little bit of sliding around here and there, but they're all, and it looks like Nico Wellman's into the pit, so is Jack Colley, and so is Ruben van der Hutting. Yeah, it looks like everyone's pitting now. All of the top 4 drivers are pitting. Alexander Diakowski is decided to stay out, so he's braving out the conditions. This could be a huge win in his favor. If this lap is quicker on slick tires compared to wets, he could have jumped up 1 or 2 positions there. But everyone else is into the pit stops now, apart from Alexander Diakowski.
So it'll be interesting to see where Sam comes out with the rest of the field now.
That's very true. We'll go have a look at where Sam is on track. He's just he's quite far behind
quite far behind, yeah.
The other drivers. Actually, he was, I'd say compared to Ruben, he was quite a bit behind, but it took Illigner maybe 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't. He was close, but he seems to have. I don't know how long the pit lane is here. I'm guessing it's quite long, and obviously the tyre change is 30 seconds, so he has still got time. And obviously coming around the last corner now.
Yeah.
But,
and Ruben van der Hutting is leaving the pit lane, and so is Ben Lowe's and Jack Colley and Nico Wellman as well now. So they're all leaving the pit lane. Sam Chumley is coming down the pit straight. Maybe if we go on board with him, we might be able to see who's leaving the pit lane just, and he has made his way past Dominic Illigner. So actually going onto the wet tires earlier was a good gamble, because he's made his way past his championship rival Dominic Illigner. That is 1 position gained. Right ahead of him, I believe that is the BMW of Jack Colley, and then Nico Wellman seems to have overtaken Jack Colley under the pit stop as well.
Adios to Sam. Obviously, I was saying, I wonder if it's a little bit early, but he's done very well there to come out. he's really managed to push up and obviously kind of salvage his race from that incident.
He will probably have a time penalty to consider, but if you look behind him, he only is Dominic Illigno behind him, but then he has around a 9-second gap to Feuerherr, so if he can build that gap to 10 seconds, he will only lose one position under time penalty. Alexander Diakovsky now going into the pit lane, so that's going to be interesting where he comes out compared to the rest, but as it looks like with Sam Chumley, Alexander Diakovsky and Tommy Aslin actually as well, they might have left it one lap too late.
Yeah, and Sam looks really confident, doesn't he? His steering inputs and everything are all very smooth, especially compared to Jack Colley in front of him, who was going a bit wide the past couple corners, and Sam just closing up that gap a little bit.
Yeah, he's already beginning to build the pressure on Jack Colley, and of course when you're in the wedge you want at least one lap to just get comfortable with your new tires and your new conditions and really see where you can push, and then you can get started with the race. There is only 7 minutes left of the race, so it's not that long he's got to defend for himself, but it could just be enough to make a minute mistake that's going to allow Sam Chumley to get ahead.
That is Tommy and Diakovsky into the pits now, so that will be everybody after this. So where they come out is the positions before penalties, so that'll be interesting to see how close to Antoine they are, because that was who they were racing.
That's true. I wonder if Antoine's on the wet tire. Oh, as Jack Colley goes very deep into turn 1, but it looks like Sam Chumley's made a mistake a little bit earlier as he's not able to capitalize. I'm just looking at the track map. It looks like Tommy Aslin has come up behind Feuerherr, so pitting that late was definitely not the ideal strategy, as the wet tires are a bit more optimal. But crucially, Antoine Livet is right behind Tommy Aslin, not looking like he's losing time though. So I wonder if did he pit for wet tires very early?
He would have been driving on the wets while it was dry though, and they would have got very hot. So I don't know. It's an interesting one, and it'll be fun to find out after the race what he did.
That's for sure, but it definitely looks like the wet tires are more optimum now, and I'll keep an eye on Antoine Olivet's lap times compared to the others. And his last lap was a 2:05.5, and I'm not able to tell with the other drivers because they pitted, but Sam Chumley's last lap was a 2:02.2, so it definitely looks like
Big difference.
Yeah, he's on the slick tires. I think his gamble not paying off.
I know Sam tends to be the faster of the two drivers, but that is there's more than just like driver speed there. That's definitely higher delta. So I think Antoine's going to slowly drop off these, and maybe even the silver driver of Ryan Noppen is not too far behind him, and if it keeps getting wetter, a second a lap isn't too unheard of.
That's very true. That's we've got to keep an eye on that. At the moment, we'll see once they cross the line. If Ruben van Hudding at 2:02.1, Ben Lowe's at 2:01.6, so Ben is actually flying at the moment. The Mike swimsuit helping. Nico Veldman at 2:01.8, Jack Colley at 2:02.4, Sam Chumley 2:02.1. So they're all running 2:02s or 2:01s, and Antoine, he is going to come across the line soon, but I think he's also lost quite a lot of time already on Tommy Aslin, so he's definitely on the slick tires. Let's see what his lap time is when he crosses there at 2:05.7.
Wow.
So that gamble not paying off.
But Ben and Nico, both of them lapping very quick. It's not, with the pace they're going, they're not going to have enough time to catch up to Ruben. But it's going to be close, and if Ruben makes a mistake, they're going to be right with him, I think.
That's for sure. It is a little bit easier to make mistakes in the wet. I don't know how the new Porsche is in the wet. Have you tried it in the wet before, actually?
I haven't tried it in the wet, I don't think. I don't think it rained on any of the races that I've done this season.
No, this is the first race we've had with rain this season, and I know the old Porsche was absolutely a death trap in the rain, but I'm not so sure about the new one. I don't know how that will be in the rain.
Well, Ruben clearly, that gap to Ben has just increased a little bit, so he's clearly finding something helpful out there, finding bits of grip on the track. And Ryan Noppen in P1 for Silver Class as well, also in the Porsche.
Yeah. We'll see once they cross the line what lap times they're doing, but I have a slight suspicion that Ben Lowes is lapping quicker than Ruben van der Hooding, but it's definitely not going to be enough to overtake him at this rate.
If I could just point you to the Anton gap, is really dropped off the back of Tommy Aslin, and Noppen has gained about 2 seconds in the space of a minute and a half. So it's going to be very close if he can hold on to P10. Obviously, it's Silver and Pro driver, but Ryan Noppen's going to want to try and take that position if he can.
Yeah, it looks like Tommy Aslin is taking a book out of the drift school rather than the racing school, as he's sliding through the last chicane and the last corner. Showing up a little bit for us there, but a nice car control from Tommy Aslin in his Bentley. Having a fun little time there, and we'll go with Ryan Noppen now. As you can see, he can see Antoine Olive down that straight, and we'll keep an eye out how closely he will. Obviously, it's not gonna mean much for the points, but it is just a little bit of a boost to your confidence by finishing ahead of a pro driver.
It's going to be close. I think he's going to want it, and I think obviously as soon as he catches up to him, he's going to have the grip. The track is now full wet. It's going to be really hard for Anton to hold on for this last. It'll be this lap and one more, I believe. But
Antoine's last lap at 2:05.8, so he's going slower. Whereas the wet tire drivers, the top three all running 2:01.5s. So the top three of Van den Hooding, Ben Lowes, and Nico Wellman basically matching each other's lap time. So I don't think that's going to change much. And Ruben is set to have his first win in 2S for quite some time, actually, and the first time this season. He will have, I think he might even complete this. No, I think he will have one more lap after this one, but it's definitely going to be close.
And as it stands, I'm extending his lead further on Aligna. Really going for that championship now. It's going to be, these last two races for Aligna are going to be massive for how the rest of the championship goes.
Yeah, keep in mind that Sam Chumley does have a penalty probably coming his way with the early exit between Dominic Aligna, so he will maybe lose 1 or 2 positions, but what he's focusing on right now is extending the gap as much as possible so he loses the least number of positions, but as it stands, he could potentially lose 2 positions.
Yeah, Tiakovsky's close enough, isn't he? He's not too far off Aligna.
Yeah, and Feuerherz is just in the grey zone of inside the penalty or not at the moment. But anyways, we have quite an interesting battle now between the silver driver of Ryan Noppen and Antoine Olive. You can just see the Porsche closing in on Antoine very quickly in the last few sectors there. But will Antoine be able to hold it off with the final lap, or will Ryan Noppen make a move and get that overtake done? And I think it will probably be the latter, as the car is around 5 seconds a lap quicker, as he did a 2:03 last lap, and Antoine Olive did a 2:07 last lap. So
it shouldn't be too difficult for Noppen.
It shouldn't be, but it is Antoine he's racing against. But it looks like
he can make his car very, very wide.
Indeed he can. But it looks like at the moment he's just looking for the corner exit, but he's going to have to be brave under the braking or just get the perfect exit compared to Antoine, as Antoine will not be able to get his power down just as good. And it looks like Ryan Noppen tried to go around the outside of turn 5 and not quite able to make a stick, but he's definitely got a better exit. Is he going to send it up the inside into the hairpin? Maybe. This could be his chance. No, it doesn't, so he's got half a lap to make his move. The Schumacher S's, that's going to be a big test for Antoine, as he's going to be very slow through there, and as Ryan Noppen, maybe he's deciding also to stay behind just for his championship's sake rather than overtaking Antoine.
He does have to be careful, because if he makes some contact with him, I know the gap's quite big behind him, but it's more penalty points. And
yeah. But anyways, coming across the line now is Ruben van der Hooding, who wins his first race in 2S, followed by Ben Lowes in P2 and Nico Wellman in P3. So Ruben from P3 on the grid, P2 on the grid, all the way up to P1, celebrating his victory already down into turn 1, having a brilliant little donut session. Ben Lowes back onto the podium again, so that's great to see. Nico Wellman does manage to get a P3 after his slightly unlucky first stint there, and that is a great redemption from him. Ryan Noppen, is he going to be able to take Antoine Olive on track? It doesn't look like he's going to. Maybe on the corner exit. No, he's not. Antoine Olive manages to stay in P10 compared to Ryan Noppen. It doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, but it's just fun staying ahead of the driver behind. And Ryan Noppen wins Silver Class after putting on a very dominant performance, winning with about a 10-second gap behind him. So it's a double Mante Porsche Racing victory today. One in Silver Class and one in Pro Class, and I think they have something to celebrate after a brilliant race here today at Nurburgring, but a bit unfortunate race last the weekend at the Nurburgring.
Well, it's been a great race to watch, hasn't it? Especially those opening 10-15 minutes where the battle for the lead was 7 cars almost. It was really entertaining, and Ruben did a great job. Once he got past Nico, he never looked back.
Yeah, he was applying the pressure from the very first corner. Oops, Sam Chumley's spinning around a little bit there. And he just kept applying the pressure, put his car in the right positions, got re-overtaken by Nico, but then he just said, okay, I'll try doing it the same overtake yet again, and he managed to make it happen. Brilliant drive from Ruben. That is a well-deserved victory, and also brilliant drive from Ryan Noppen, who finishes 18 seconds ahead of the next driver in Silver Class.
Massive. Really good race from him.
Huge win today for all these drivers as we go to the next session, and it's already wet again. Wow, very exciting race. Thank you everyone who's been watching today, who's joined in the chat. If you want to be part of this racing, then feel free to click the link in the description to join the Discord, or if you just want to be part of the community, feel free to join the Discord as well. Thank you very much for being with me here today, Aiden. It's been a pleasure. It's been great having someone else next to me in the commentary bot. And it's, I had a great time.
Yeah, great race. Obviously, great fun commentator. This is my first race I've ever commentated. It was
first for everything there.
Absolute blast.
I'm happy you've enjoyed it, and I'm sure everyone else watching has enjoyed it as well. Yeah, I'd say you did a very good job for your first time in the commentary booth, and you're definitely very welcome to come yet again next time it's raining. If you don't feel like going outside in the wet, feel free to come up into the commentary booth. It's dry in here.
Lovely. I'm nice and warm.
Yeah. But that's been it today for 2S here on ACC. Next race will be at, let me just quickly find it. It will be Valencia. Perfect, thank you. So that is a new track. I don't know how the track works at all. I'll have to try and study it before the broadcast. And that's going to be a sprint session, and then after Valencia we have Spa-Francorchamps, and that'll be the end of the season. Dominic Illigner will probably get a few points back on Sam Chumley, so that battle between the two drivers will continue until the very end of the season. You don't want to miss that with a nail-biting championship in hand. Thank you very much, everyone who's been watching. Thank you, everyone who's been commenting. Thank you, everyone who's been part of the race and everything. And thank you again, Aidan Bailey, for joining me in the commentary booth. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you again to anyone I forgot to thank, and have a great evening. Goodbye.